Jai Sri Radhe Govinda Dev Ki Jai. Welcome back to everyone who can tune in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hare Krishna. Nice to see you all again. Today's reading is going to be very special because in many places in the world right now, the special day of Ekadashi has already begun. For me, it's a few hours away still, but I thought I would use this time to try and read a little bit about Ekadashi. So as always, we'll start with offering our respects to our dearest Krishna and singing a little Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Giri Varadhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Giri Varadhari Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Giri Varadhari Jai Radha Madhava Jai Radha Madhava Radhe Govinda Jaya Radhe Govinda Shri Sri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Shri Sri Radha Govinda Dev Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So there was a question, how is Ekadashi going for me? It hasn't started yet, but I'm so excited that it has begun for some of you in other parts of the world. So I'm always excited to begin my Ekadashi a little bit early. Just making sure that everybody can hear me and everything sounds clearly as much as humanly possible. And if it's going well, then we'll get started. So I've told this story before, but I want to tell it again because there are so many new listeners. There are so many more friends that are engaging in these sanghas. So I'm going to begin with the origin story of Ekadashi. And this story is taken from a book called the Garga Samhita. And it's written by Garga Muni, who was the guru for the families of Vrindavan. And he made sure that everyone realized and they started to understand the importance of this little boy Krishna. So when Krishna was first born, they had Garga Muni perform his name-giving ceremony. So they had this great sage come and say, what should we name this child? And he said, this child is going to be so powerful. He'll be a protector of all of Vrindavan. And they say that he will be just like an expansion of Lord Vishnu. Really, we understand that Krishna is the source of all expansions. But Gargamuni was giving this instruction to all of Vrindavan that wherever this boy is, you will all be safe. So Gargamuni is the speaker and the author of this Garga Samhita, which has so many beautiful and enchanting pastimes about our dear Krishna. So this story of Ekadashi was adapted from that beautiful Garga Samhita. And it begins with a conversation between Sri Radha and her friends, her Sakhis, her gopis. Sri Radha sat in a beautiful forest grove among her many girl friends, looking like the vibrant moon surrounded by twinkling stars. They were laughing with one another, seeking shelter from the hot afternoon sun under the benevolent, wish-fulfilling trees of Vrindavan. The gopis, the maidens of the village of Vrindavan, looked to their princess Sri Radha and spoke. "O Radha, beautiful, gentle-natured, lotus-eyed daughter of King Vrishabhanu, please tell us what vow we may follow to attain the favor of Sri Krishna." At the mention of Krishna's name, Radha bent her head shyly, a crimson blush blooming gently across her cheeks. The Prince of Vraj was the hero of every young girl's heart, the gopis included. It was no secret that although every maiden, young and old, ran to Krishna, he ran to Radha. They knew that there must have been some secret to the hold that she had over the charming Gopa, and they yearned to know how they too could possibly catch his attention. They would do anything, take up any austerity, pray to any god, and endure any hardship if it meant that their Krishna would be pleased with them. Radhe, you have made Krishna, whom even great demigods like Brahma and Mahadev cannot approach, just like your submissive servant. Sri Radha covered her face with the gauzy fabric of her veil, momentarily humbled by their praise. After a heartbeat, she recovered her composure, and with a sweet, compassionate smile, the goddess, who accepted the role of a simple milkmaid in the transcendental village of Braj, spoke to her assembly of friends. To attain Sri Krishna's mercy, you should follow the vow of fasting on Ekadashi. In that way, you will make the Lord into your submissive servant. Of this, there is no doubt. The gopis looked at their princess with rapt attention. They hung on to her every word as she described to them the vow which would grant them the perfection of their lives. Sri Radha held up her hand as she instructed her friends. Listen carefully. The 11th day of each waxing and waning lunar cycle was reserved as a fasting day, where one voluntarily took on penance to please the Supreme Lord, but it also held the story of a compassionate goddess. With a wide smile which shone like sun rays from the brilliant sun of Sri Radha's face, she began. During the waning moon, the dark fortnight of the month of Margashirsha, in order to kill the demon Mura, the divine goddess Ekadashi Devi was born from the body of Lord Vishnu. Indra, the king of the heavens, along with all of the other celestial demigods, approached the shore of the Milk Ocean and Svetadweep, the effulgent island which was home to the supreme Lord Vishnu, along with the goddess Lakshmi. This place was their safe haven, and the assembled demigods could feel their fears and anxieties washing off of them just as the waves from the ocean of milk receded from the shore of the ethereal island. Indra was sure that the Lord would be able to help them, and with that faith, he put forth his appeal. O Lord of the universe, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, we offer our respectful obeisances to you. Indra paused to close his eyes and touched his forehead to his joined palms in salutation. All of the accompanying devas followed, offering Lord Vishnu their respects. You are the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of this entire cosmic manifestation. You are the mother, father, and the supreme shelter of everyone. Indra glanced back and the dejected look of the other demigods who were in trouble gave him the strength to continue. Indra extended his arms in supplication to the Lord who was his only savior. Although it may appear as though we are controllers of the many universal affairs, actually, we are merely your servants, put into our positions by you. We are always subordinate to you, our master, and are forever dependent on your abundant grace. You are the supreme person. You are the protector of surrendered souls who rely on your shelter, just as the beautiful pearls of your necklace rest on your broad chest. O supreme mystic, the demigods have been driven out of our heavenly kingdom and have lost our home. We were ousted by a cruel and vicious demon and have fled to the earth planet. We are now plunged into an ocean of miseries without our kingdom. We beg for your aid. O Lord, be pleased with us. Indra was aware that with each plea his voice rose and became more and more urgent. On hearing such a pathetic prayer from the king of the Devas, Lord Vishnu began to understand their dire situation. In a deep voice that seemed to come from everywhere all at once, he spoke to Indra. Who is this invincible demon who has defeated even the demigods? What is his name, and what is the source of his prowess? Please explain everything to me in detail. Do not fear. Lord Vishnu held his right hand up to Indra to give him the encouragement to speak, his soft red palm facing the demigods and blessing them with fearlessness. Indra took a breath, feeling instantly relieved. There is a fierce demon named Mura. The great city of Chandravati is the capital of this horrible being, but he has now taken over our capital city of Amaravati, and we have been unable to withstand his attacks. Not only has he overtaken our city, but he is living in our palaces, and has even dared to take over the post of the most important devas like Agnidev, Yamaraj, and Varuna. He has rendered us ineffective. Although we have all joined forces, it has been impossible to defeat him. Completely exhausted, and with no other recourse, we have come to you. You are our only hope. Lord Vishnu's soft smile vanished. His eyes looked intense, and his gracefully curved eyebrows drew close together in annoyance. He cast a grave and sober glance over all of the demigods. When the Lord's beautiful eyes, usually so full of love, came to rest on Indra again, the king of the heavens could see the fire blazing behind them. The Lord was angry. Yes, it seems as though every time demons are on the rise for power, they immediately take over Indraloka. My dear Indra, do not worry. I will personally kill this enemy of yours. All of you should travel along with me to the city of Chandravati. The demigods released a collective sigh of relief and gratitude, and all at once they raised their clasped palms above their heads and murmured chants of thanks to the Lord who would once again come to their rescue. The demigods, rejuvenated by the presence of Lord Vishnu, marched on the city of Chandravati to do battle once again with Mura and his army of demons. The Lord defeated the demon horde, dispersing them as if they were nothing more than a swarm of gnats. However, when he engaged in battle with Mura himself, the Supreme Lord used various weapons, but the demon refused to die. Finally, Lord Vishnu engaged in hand-to-hand combat, wrestling with the demon for 10,000 years. Their blows sounded like the planets themselves were being crushed into powder, but the battle raged on and on, the Devas watching with bated breath, hoping that their Lord would bring an end to their suffering soon. So if we wind up thinking that the Lord hasn't come to our aid soon enough, he was fighting this battle with this demon for 10,000 celestial years, we can only imagine that the Lord may be fighting our own battles. It's just taking him some time. Overcome by the punishing blows of the Supreme Lord, Mura was defeated and lay unconscious on the blood-stained battlefield. Feeling tired, Lord Vishnu left Mura and the battlefield and journeyed to Badrik Ashram, high in the Himalayas, to rest. Once in Badrik Ashram, he entered a beautiful cave called Hemavati and laid down. He entered a deep slumber, his beautiful lotus eyes closing against the fatigue he felt from fighting so long with the demon. Suddenly, the demon Mura, who had regained consciousness shortly after Lord Vishnu departed for the ashram, followed the Lord to his resting place and entered the cave. It was dark and quiet inside the cave, but Mura could easily see the effulgent form of Lord Vishnu. Seeing his opponent sleeping so peacefully, the demon smiled evilly. This would be the perfect opportunity to put an end to Vishnu, who had destroyed all of his plans and many of his demon soldiers, not to mention countless demon rulers before him. Raising a sword, which glinted menacingly in the reflected light from the Lord's many jewels and shining armor, Mura could almost taste victory as he brought it down with a swoosh. Mura was momentarily blinded by a fierce, bright light, which was almost as hot as it was intense. The light lit up every corner of the cave, but Mura was not to be deterred. He pressed forward with the edge of his sword, thinking this to be another trick of that crafty Vishnu. But no matter. There was nothing that would defeat him. As the light dimmed, Mura glanced down to see Vishnu with his eyes still closed, resting just as peacefully as he had been before. The demon's eyes widened as he wondered who or what was that was currently stopping it. He looked up and into the furious face of a woman. The brightness of her form was still illuminating the inside of the cave. She had dazzling armor and was holding a sword firmly against the one he brought down to behead the savior of the demigods. She had various weapons, but it seemed as though the longer Mura looked at her to try and decipher all of the details of his opponent, the brighter her effulgence became, until it was too painful to try and look directly at her. No matter. Whoever it was, Mura would do battle with them, and he would win. He would stop at nothing until he killed Vishnu. Time was lost to both the demon and the warrior goddess as they fought, the clang of their swords relentlessly echoing off of the inner walls of the cave. But Vishnu never stirred. Finally, Mura raised his sword high above his head, ready to deliver a death blow to the goddess, but she was quicker than the demon, and with blurring speed, her sword slashed through the air, and with it, Mura's head rolled at her feet, while his body was suspended in motion, freezing for a moment in his last battle stance before crumpling to the floor of the cave in a lifeless heap. the goddess stood back and gazed at the sleeping form of her beautiful lord with folded hands. His eyes opened, and her eyes dropped to the ground before her, overcome with shy reverence. Lord Vishnu looked at the beautiful woman who stood before him. She had a beautiful face with what the Lord knew were wide lotus eyes, even as she glanced down and away from him. A golden crown adorned her head, and her black hair hung free in waves that flowed around her. She had many weapons, which she held at rest, but her sword was dripping with blood. Lord Vishnu followed the trail of blood and saw the body of the demon Mura lying forgotten on the floor of Hemavati cave. Astonished, Lord Vishnu looked toward the goddess again. "Devi, who are you?" His tone was gentle, and she looked up at him timidly, but in her eyes was the unmistakable courage and competence of a born warrior. "My lord, I am born from your very own body, the moment this demon raised his sword to kill you. I have killed this wretched demon who sought to kill you as he saw you sleeping." She cast one last fierce glance at the demon before returning her gaze back to the Lord. A beautiful smile curved onto his lips. "O goddess, I am very pleased with you. Please, ask for any benediction you desire." Vishnu looked at the beautiful girl, waiting to hear her desire. "O my lord, if you are pleased with me and wish to give me a boon, then just as you have allowed me to protect you, who protects the entire universe, with my very essence, by laying waste to this sinful demon, please give me the power to deliver any person who honors me on this day by eradicating any and all of their greatest sins." The goddess smiled when she asked for the benediction, which immediately brought joy to her heart. "So be it, Devi. You are my spiritual energy. Since you have appeared on this day of Ekadashi, your name shall be Ekadashi Devi. Anyone who follows the vow of Ekadashi, honoring you, will be relieved from all sinful reactions and attain inexhaustible heavenly and transcendental happiness." The Lord raised his right hand benevolently, fulfilling the wishes of the compassionate goddess, Ekadashi Devi. Sri Radha looked at the group of stunned gopis. Their faces were bright with joy, hearing the pastimes of Lord Vishnu. Sri Radha smiled, full of secret joy. Even today, one can attain a kingdom like Kuvera, the god of wealth, and more, simply by following Ekadashi. This day is most dear to Lord Hari. My dear gopis, please know that Ekadashi is the queen of all holy days. No other holy day is her equal. Wow, we have Hannah, who was born on Ekadashi. How fortunate are you? Clapping in appreciation of Radha's words, the other gopis began to speak amongst themselves, all resolving within their hearts that very moment to strictly and earnestly follow the words of their very own queen and observe the fast of Ekadashi, which would grant them their heart's desire, the favor of Govinda. All glories to Ekadashi Devi, who appeared as a daughter from the body of Lord Vishnu to save him, and whose only wish was to joyfully extend her protection to all those who honor her sacred day. I pray for her protection and her blessings to receive the favor of the divine couple, Jai Sri Radhe Govinda. How compassionate was this beautiful goddess. She could have asked for anything, and all she wanted was to serve by offering us all her protection and all of her help, just so that we can somehow remember our beloved Lord. So as Ekadashi comes upon us all, and she graces us with her very own presence, I like to think of Ekadashi not as a day of rendering tapasya with a mood of, oh man, now I have to fast and potatoes and all this endeavor. But I think of it as a day when I am lucky, I am fortunate to be able to fast. I am fortunate to be able to seek the shelter of such a wonderful goddess who can give us all protection, who can offer us all blessings. And each Ekadashi has its own story, filled with its own benedictions. So from the same Garga Samhita, I thought I would read the special blessings that come with tomorrow's or today's Ekadashi, which is Kamika Ekadashi. I like to look at these as Krishna giving us bonus points. He gives us extra blessings. He gives us extra love. I'm the youngest of 4 children, and so I often feel spoiled. And I feel like I need to be spoiled. So I often pray, Krishna, do whatever, just spoil me with your love and affection. So these are the days when he spoils us with his love. These are the days when he is fully present in our lives. All we have to do is take full advantage of hearing about him, speaking about him, seeking out those places where we can come together and use any excuse, as I spoke about yesterday. Use any excuse just to glorify him. And in that way we draw him into our lives. And as our own queen promises, this is how we somehow make Krishna our own servant, which is such a far-off thought to me. I want to serve him, but he is purchased and brought under the control of love. These are the days when we show him how much we love him. These are the days when Krishna is eager to take part, eager to taste our love, eager to receive our devotion. So this is the story of Kamika Ekadashi. Maharaj Yudhisthira said, O Supreme Lord Krishna, I have heard from you the glories of Devashayani Ekadashi. Now I would like to hear about the Ekadashi that occurs during the waning month in the moon in the month of Shravan, July, August. O Lord, kindly explain its glories. How fortunate are the kings like the Pandavas. How fortunate are these devotees that they can sit with Krishna in a courtyard and ask him, O my friend, tell me the glories of these sacred days. O my friend, just tell me the best way to reach you. And Krishna looks at them with a compassionate smile and then reveals the workings of the universe. Lord Krishna replied, O king, please attentively hear the description of this sacred vow of Ekadashi, which removes all sins. In an ancient time, Narada Muni once asked Lord Brahma about this same topic and inquired about the deity which is to be worshipped on that day and the process one must follow to observe this Ekadashi. It's glorious that great souls like Narada Muni are also eager to know about these fasting days. These days are not just special to us, they are special throughout this entire universal creation. And great personalities, even like Lord Brahma, he's instructing his own son Narada in this science of devotional service. Lord Brahma, the spiritual master of the entire universe, replied, the Ekadashi, which occurs during the waning moon in the month of Shravan, is called Kamika Ekadashi. By hearing the glories of this Ekadashi, one obtains the result of performing a Vajpaya sacrifice. On this auspicious day, one should worship Lord Vishnu, who holds a conch, a disc, a club, and lotus flower in his hands. The result one obtains by residing and bathing in holy places, like near the Ganges, or in Kashi, Naimisharanya, and Pushkar, is obtained simply by worshipping Lord Vishnu on that day. The result, not even obtainable by taking a bath in Kedarnath, Kurukshetra, or during the solar eclipse, is easily obtained by worshipping Lord Krishna on this day. Therefore, it is the duty of everyone to strictly observe this Kamika Ekadashi by worshipping Lord Vishnu. Just as the water cannot touch the lotus leaf, similarly, by the influence of this Kamika Ekadashi, a person can remain aloof from his sins. Anyone who worships Lord Hari with tulsi leaves is freed from all sins. Anyone. Only by seeing tulsis, one's sinful reactions are destroyed. By touching tulsi, one's body becomes purified. By offering prayers to tulsi, one's diseases become cured. By bathing tulsi, one does not fear from Yamaraj, the Lord of Death. By planting tulsi, one becomes fortunate enough to reside with Lord Krishna. And by offering tulsi leaves at the feet of the Supreme Lord, one attains pure devotional service. So, there are so many of you who have tulsi, who offer respects to Tulsi Devi, who worship Tulsi Devi. On this Ekadashi especially, it seems as though so many benefits come from worshipping Tulsi. So I'll read it again. Anyone who worships Lord Hari with Tulsi leaves is freed from all sins. Only by seeing Tulsi, one's sinful reactions are destroyed. By touching Tulsi, one's body becomes purified. By offering prayers to Tulsi, one's diseases become cured. I think we all need a little bit of this for the whole world. By bathing Tulsi, one does not fear from Yamaraj, the Lord of Death. By planting Tulsi, one becomes fortunate enough to reside with Lord Krishna. And by offering Tulsi leaves at the feet of the Supreme Lord, one attains pure devotional service. Even Chitragupta, who is the secretary, the scribe for Yamaraj. Yamaraj is in charge of all of our sinful reactions, our karma, good or bad, and Chitragupta is in charge of writing it all down. All of the actions and the reactions and the misdemeanors and offenses, he writes them all down. Even Chitragupta is unable to estimate the piety of one who offers obeisances and a ghee lamp to such a Tulsi on the day of Ekadashi. The sin of killing a Brahmin or an embryo is destroyed as a secondary result of observing this Kamika Ekadashi. So we see that great sins are destroyed. And that's not to say that we should commit those sins at all. But it just goes to show that you are never too far gone to be saved by our Krishna. There is never a moment when our Krishna will not say, enough, I can't save you. He will look for any excuse to save us. All we have to do is take the chance. Grab the opportunity. So the sin of killing a Brahmin or an embryo is destroyed as a secondary result of observing this Kamika Ekadashi. That's not even the primary result. The primary results that we hear of are the benedictions of pure devotional service, the benedictions of residing with the Lord of our heart. One who hears or reads the glories of this Ekadashi with faith certainly attains the abode of Lord Vishnu. So this was also a little bit of a selfish ploy. I know that often these Ekadashis come with such benedictions for those who hear or read them, or establish places where other people can hear and read them. So I definitely wanted to take the opportunity to share with you, for my own benefit, really. So I'll read it one more time. One who hears or reads the glories of this Ekadashi with faith certainly attains the abode of Lord Vishnu. This Garga Samhita goes on to say that Ekadashi has been followed for millions of years. We are so incredibly fortunate to have this opportunity. We're so fortunate to be with one another. We're so fortunate to just be able to know Krishna, to know of Ekadashi, and to try and do just a little something to show our appreciation for our lotus-eyed Lord. Oftentimes I think of the tapasya, the great austerity that was performed by demons like Hiranyakashipu. What did he do to show his appreciation for Lord Brahma? He stood on the tips of his toes with his arms outstretched for hundreds of years. And he did it all because he wanted to obtain some benedictions. There were great demons like Ravana, who stayed under Mount Kailash for 100 years, composing prayers for Lord Shiva. These demons would do anything to achieve their goal. And sometimes we think of Ekadashi with such dissatisfaction. Oh no, I have to fast. It's not even a big fast. Our fast is for a matter of hours. And Srila Prabhupada has given us such a simple method. Within the Gaudiya Math, there are so many restrictions of what we can and cannot eat during Ekadashi. Srila Prabhupada simplified the process and said, just stay away from grains and beans. That's it. Whatever you need to eat, you do that. Stay away from grains and beans and just try and chant a little extra. So I want to look at Ekadashi not with the feeling of, oh no, I have to fast, but oh yes, I get the opportunity to fast. I have the opportunity to now show Krishna my love, my adoration, my admiration. I get to say thank you for saving me countless times. I don't even know how many times my Lord has saved my life. I go through my day, I wake up, and I take in a deep breath. I don't know if my last breath was supposed to be the night before. I have no idea if the moment I step outside, the greatest dangers were supposed to befall me. But Krishna, with his umbrella of mercy, has shielded me every moment of my life. So on these days, I get to say thank you. I get to show my gratitude. I get to fast. I get to perform some small tapasya for the pleasure of my Govinda. And in return for doing such small service, our Lord gives us himself. He promises, I will become yours. Whatever you need, I will take care of it. Anything that you could imagine, any benediction, any opulence, that comes as a secondary reaction to fasting. Yes, There's a comment that just came in that says, we have the honor of emptying our cup to fill ourselves up with Krishna. Absolutely. This is our honor and our joy. We get to worship him this day. We get to behold their lotus-like faces this day. And we get to fill ourselves up with their mercy. That mercy will be the thing that saves us and continues to save us every moment of every day. And when we are in danger, then we cry out more, "Oh Krishna, save me." When we are in happy times, we cry out more, "Oh Krishna, thank you." And it's with this mood that I want to fast. I want to give myself over to thinking about Krishna more, relishing his pastimes more. I want to give myself up to it. For those who are obsessed with love, they think, I can't think of anything else but my beloved person. We'll skip meals. We'll stay on the phone. Talk to them late at night. Wake up early in the morning. It's okay. None of it matters because our hearts are filled with love. Imagine if we could just direct that same love toward Krishna. Then we don't have a problem skipping meals. We don't have a problem staying up to chant japa, to do our mantra meditation, to call upon him. I yearn for that day when I am at that place where I don't want to sleep. I don't want to eat because the holy name is that sweet. I yearn for that moment to come, and I chant and I pray with hope and with confidence that even Krishna says, if we just dedicate ourselves to the path and we stick to it day in, day out, and we tolerate those things that will come and disturb us, those things that will come and cause us suffering, we know they will come. But if we just stick with it, continuing to call out to him with any chance that we get, even if it's, "Oh Krishna, I'm so angry with this situation. Oh Krishna, I sometimes feel so angry even with you. But oh Krishna, I love you anyway. I know that you will not leave me because you have never left me." In our beautiful Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, "Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all of these kings," which means that never was there a time that we did not exist. And so our Krishna has always existed with us, staying with us within our hearts, guiding us, helping us, waiting for us to confide in him. So I yearn for the day. And I have to know that if I stay on the path, that day will come. It will arrive for all of us when we look forward to the days of Ekadashi like a grand festival. It is a festival where we now feast on what? Hearing, chanting, remembering our beautiful hero. He is the hero of our life story. And in that way, we should revel in thinking about his pastimes. He is the ultimate celebrity. He is the one we should be giving our association to. My dear sister Krishangi says, "Thank you for helping me not give up." We are absolutely all in this together. And so, if we find that our hearts are breaking, if we find that there is sorrow deep within our heart, don't lose heart. Don't lose faith. Run to the place where your heart is breaking, because that is where Krishna lives. He says himself, he's seated within the heart, and from him come all remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. He's right there with us, every moment, every second. Don't lose heart. That's where Krishna lives. We only have to go to that place to seek him. And he will welcome us there with open arms. Every single moment, he's just waiting for us to turn to him. In the great Brihad Bhagavatamrita written by Srila Sanatana Goswami, which extracts the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Vishnu speaks to the young boy Gopakumar. And Lord Vishnu says, hope had me dancing like a fool, thinking lifetime after lifetime, maybe this will be the time. Maybe this will be the time. Maybe this will be the time that you turn toward me. But I could not find a way to bring you to me without upsetting the rules of the universe that I myself created. And so the Lord reveals a secret. He reveals that he himself then takes a special form. He manifests his mercy and energy in a very special way. He takes the form of our Guru. He takes the form of our teachers to come and remind us of the beautiful glory of our dear Supreme Lord, our best friend. And then our Guru comes and they teach us about Krishna. And then maybe, just maybe, we can listen to the words of our teachers and we turn our face toward our Supreme Lord, who's just waiting. He said hope had him dancing like a fool. Can we imagine? Krishna is waiting by the phone, waiting for us to call him. Just thinking, maybe now, maybe this time my devotee will call upon me. Let us take every opportunity, whether we are feeling sick or healthy, whether we are feeling happy or sad, whether we smile or we cry, let us run to the association of these devotees. Let's hear from them, because this is how we save our lives. Krishna has built in a way for us to save ourselves. He wants to save us. We must help him help us. So I'll read maybe one or two short pieces from Premamala. This one is called Flute Yogini. When you play your flute, the vibration acts like a messenger in the form of a yogini, perfect in the art of chanting mantras. This messenger enchants all the women in the universe and attracts them to you. Then she increases their great anxiety and induces them to give up the regulative principle of obeying superiors. Finally, she forcibly brings them to you to surrender in amorous love. That section was taken from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. As the dark waters of the Jamuna rushed by with her soothing warbling, Govinda stood at the base of a nearby tree. Its branches hung low, both to shade him and to caress his arms with its leaves, under the pretense of swaying in Vrindavan's gentle breezes. Did you all know that in the spiritual world, everything in Goloka Vrindavan is conscious and alive and sentient? So the trees have thoughts, the rocks have thoughts and wishes, even pots of milk have thoughts and wishes. But that's a story for another time. But everything in Vrindavan is conscious and just waiting for their own opportunity to serve the Prince of Vrindavan. Glistening fruits hung like gems being offered from the tree, just in case the Prince of Braj grew hungry. All of Vrindavan was at his disposal. With his mind wrapped in thoughts of love, he pressed his lips to his flute. A riff began to wind out from the holes of his Venu. Low at first, before climbing the notes of the scale one by one, almost offering respects to each note before passing on to the next. Up and down the scale he went, careful to pay attention to each note, lest the others get jealous, until a movement caught his eye. Never stopping his song, he glanced from the corners of his reddened eyes and saw a woman, a yogini. Her hair was piled into a topknot, while the rest spilled down her back like a waterfall, so dark it could have been an extension of the Jamuna itself. Her hands were pressed together, but a mischievous smile spread across her reddened lips, and her eyes roamed the forest around her. When her eyes met Govinda's, she asked him silently what his desire was. With nothing more than a slight raise of his eyebrows, which put Cupid's bow to shame, and a sharp note from his flute, he sent that beautiful yogini after the damsels who had captured his own heart. On occasion, just the song of his flute was not enough. This yogini would compel the girls of Braj to come to Govinda, disregarding any and all obstacles. She would then teach them that yoga of love, of which he was the supreme goal. Gaur Govinda Maharaj says that the glory of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is that this is the supreme practice. This is the sadhana of Sri Radha herself. We are always looking for some great soul to give us a special mantra or tantra, something to help us. And Gaur Govinda Maharaj says this is her own personal mantra, chanted by her and all of her gopis. It has been given to us by Srila Prabhupada, widely spread, freely given. It is just up to us to take that mantra. Often the sound of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is described as the sound of Krishna's flute. How fortunate are we that we can hear the flute of our lotus-eyed Lord even today. It is hidden, nestled within the beautiful names of the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Can we hear it? Our great acharyas have stated that this very mantra has descended from the spiritual world. It is the wealth of the spiritual world. How can we say we're too busy? How can we say that there is anything else that is more important than our chanting of Sri Radha's very own mantra, the mantra which is closest to her heart. I want to arrive at the point where I do not consider anything more important than the holy name. Yes. Anuradha caught on to the line from the beautiful song Golokar Premadana Harinam Sankirtan from Hari Hari Bifale. I want to come to the point where nothing is more important. I hope and dream of a day when the holy name reveals itself to me, where I can hear the sound of Krishna's flute, and that beautiful yogini herself comes and says, okay, now it's time for you to meet the Lord of your life. I want to be able to chant for his pleasure instead of for my own protection only, instead of because it is something I'm supposed to do, instead of something that I simply promised my Gurudev that I would do. I want to chant knowing that Krishna might hear it and derive some pleasure from my calling on his unlimited names. One more piece. The ocean of the holy name. The ocean of the holy name has jewels in its deep. Its waters swell with untold mysteries. That shoreless ocean is contained by 16 names. But beneath that veil is my greatest love affair, waiting just beyond the next bead, just past the next breath, whispered within the next name. The key to my heart unlocks the treasure troves of this ocean, and once unleashed, grace abounds, and the greatest gift is found. The beloved. Our beloveds. Our dearmost friends. Jai Sri Radhe Govinda. Jai Sri Radhe Shyam. Jai Sri Radha Madhava. Jai Sri Radha Murlidhara. Jai Sri Radha Kunja Bihari. Wherever you are, the Lord has manifested himself with a special name and special qualities just to attract you. It says that Krishna has a special flute song just to attract each one of us. So, with just 1 minute remaining, I thank you all for joining me and bearing with me. Thank you for giving me the service of being able to speak about Sri Ekadashi Devi. Ekadashi Devi Ki Jai. I pray that we are all blessed with her divine protection. And I pray that we take this opportunity to draw ourselves closer and closer to our Krishna. He belongs to all of us, each and every heart. Thank you. I will see you all again next time, hopefully tomorrow, with more reading and sharing. All glories to the holy name. All glories to the flute song and the romantic mantra of Sri Sri Radha Krishna. All glories to our service. I wish you all happy, happy chanting. Hare Krishna.